Thalaxi Prime was dying. The great crystalline forests that had sustained its civilization for millennia were withering under the merciless radiation of their expanding red giant sun. Ikora, leader of the Thalaxian Council, gazed up at the bloated crimson orb that dominated the sky. Their scientists had calculated precisely. Within 2 solar cycles, their world would become uninhabitable. "Transmission ready, Elder Ikora," announced Moriav, their chief communicator. His translucent appendages trembled slightly as he operated. The quantum beacon, technology the Thalaxians had developed over centuries of peaceful scientific pursuit. Ikora's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of solemn acknowledgement. "Send our plea to all corners of the galactic consortium. Surely someone will answer." The message shot outward, encoded with detailed information about their dying homeworld, their species' peaceful history, their cultural archives, and their desperate need for evacuation assistance. The Thalaxians had never developed interstellar travel. Their physiology was ill-suited for space exploration, their crystalline bodies vulnerable to cosmic radiation. But they had excelled in quantum communications, reaching far beyond what their fragile forms could traverse. Days became weeks, weeks became months. The crystalline forests continued to crack and shatter as temperatures rose. The Thalaxian population, once 12 million strong, had dwindled to 8 million as the inhabitable regions contracted toward the poles. "Consortium representatives acknowledge receipt of our message," Moriav reported one grey morning, "but they regret to inform us that intervention violates their non-interference directive regarding non-spacefaring civilizations." Did they not understand? Ikora's voice resonated with harmonics of despair. "We face extinction." They understand. Moriav's crystalline form dimmed slightly. They simply deem it natural selection. Additional pleas were sent. The Zernians cited resource limitations. The Veldari Empire worried about the precedent of rescue operations. The Arathi Federation expressed philosophical condolences but offered no ships. Then, on the 412th day since their first transmission, an unexpected response pinged on their quantum receiver. The signal's origin was unfamiliar. From a spiral arm of the galaxy the consortium rarely monitored, receiving transmission from United Earth Command, Moriav announced, puzzlement evident in his harmonic speech. "They are not consortium. Members, play it," Ikora commanded. A hologram materialized, a bipedal creature with tanned skin and determined eyes. When it spoke, the translation matrix converted it perfectly. "This is Admiral Thandeka Nkosi of the United Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. Our ships are already en route to your coordinates. Estimated arrival 23 days. Begin preparing your people for evacuation. We're coming." Stunned silence filled the chamber before Moriav finally spoke. "Who are these humans?" "I don't know," Ikora replied, a flicker of hope resonating through her crystalline form for the first time in months. "But they're the only ones who answered." The human vessels appeared in the Thalaxi system exactly when promised. Massive evacuation. Carriers accompanied by sleek corvettes. Unlike the elegant organic curves of consortium craft, the human ships were angular, utilitarian, and bristling with technology that Thalaxian sensors struggled to comprehend. Captain Oren Lazarus stood on the bridge of the UES Mercy, studying the dying world below. "Life signs concentrated at the polar regions," reported his science officer, Lieutenant Kaida Blackwood. "Environmental degradation accelerating. Surface temperatures in the equatorial regions already exceed 400 Kelvin. Faster than we expected," Oren observed grimly. "Begin landing operations immediately. Priority Alpha." Within hours, shuttlecraft descended through Thalaxi Prime's increasingly turbulent atmosphere. The first to land near the northern settlement was commanded by Major Isidro Vega, who had studied the limited information on Thalaxian physiology during the 3-week journey. When the ramp lowered, Isidro was the first human to set foot on Thalaxian soil. The crystalline beings awaiting him shimmered under the red sunlight, their translucent bodies containing inner structures that pulsed with bioluminescence. "I am Major Isidro Vega of Earth," he announced, the translation device at his throat, converting his words into harmonic resonances the Thalaxians could comprehend. "We've come to help." Ikora approached cautiously. "Our gratitude is boundless, Major Vega of Earth. But I must ask, why did you come when all others refused?" Isidro's expression softened. "Because that's what humans do. We help when we can." The evacuation began immediately. Special containment chambers had been designed for Thalaxian physiology, filled with the specific atmospheric mixture and thermal conditions they required. Human medical personnel worked alongside Thalaxian healers to ensure the most vulnerable were transported first. On the 3rd day of evacuation, disaster struck. The planet's core, destabilized by the solar radiation, triggered massive tectonic activity. A crystalline mountain range collapsed without warning, burying a settlement of 15,000. "We need to dig them out!" Isidro shouted as his team rushed toward the disaster area. "Impossible," Moriav responded, his form flickering with distress harmonics. "The weight of crystal will have shattered them. They are lost." But the humans wouldn't accept this. They deployed excavation drones and specialized equipment. Human engineers worked alongside Thalaxian guides, identifying pockets where survivors might be sheltering. 3,000 Thalaxians were recovered alive from the collapsed settlement, each one a life the consortium had already written off as acceptable losses. That night, as Ikora watched humans working tirelessly despite their alien biology, struggling with Thalaxi's atmosphere, she turned to Isidro. "The galaxy told us our extinction was inevitable, merely statistics in cosmic evolution. Yet you humans view each life as worth saving." Isidro nodded solemnly. "We've faced extinction ourselves more than once. We know what it means to stand at the precipice. No one should face that alone." Admiral Nkosi's hologram flickered with static as she delivered the news to Captain Oren. 3 consortium vessels have entered the system. They're demanding we cease operations immediately." Oren's jaw tightened. "On what grounds?" "They claim we're violating quarantine protocols by interfering with a Level 2 civilization. They're citing galactic compact regulations. We're not signatories." "To their compact," Oren replied coldly. "True, but they outnumber and outgun us. The diplomatic situation is delicate." On the planet's surface, the evacuation continued with renewed urgency. 5 million Thalaxians had been transported to the fleet's carriers, but 3 million remained. The planet's condition was deteriorating faster than projected. The crystal forests were now audibly shattering in continuous waves of destruction. A sleek vessel bearing consortium markings landed near the main evacuation site. From it emerged emissary Tolgzar of the Zernian hierarchy, an imposing figure with iridescent scales and multiple limbs adorned with ceremonial metals. "Human intervention forces," the translator rendered his hissing speech. "You are in violation of Compact Statute 478B. This species has not achieved the technological threshold for integration. Your interference disrupts the natural order." Isidro stepped forward. "With respect, emissary, we're preventing genocide." "You mistake natural extinction for genocide," Tolzar replied dismissively. "The universe contains billions of species. Evolution dictates that those unable to adapt will perish." Ikora, overhearing this exchange, approached with dignified grace despite her weakening form. "We contacted your consortium. We begged for help, and we determined assistance was unwarranted." Tolzar stated. Oren's voice came through Isidro's communicator. Major, the consortium vessels are powering weapons. They're threatening to disable our carriers if we don't comply. Isidro looked from Ikora to Tolzar, then to the thousands of Thalaxians still waiting for evacuation. A muscle worked in his jaw as he made his decision. "Tell Admiral Nkosi to hold position," he responded. "We're not leaving anyone behind. This defiance will not be forgotten," Tolzar warned. "Humanity is young in galactic terms. You cannot afford enemies like the Consortium. And you cannot afford to be on the wrong side of history," Isidro countered. "Watch and learn, emissary. This is humanity's way." As tension escalated in orbit, the human evacuation teams worked with redoubled effort. Engineers reconfigured shuttles to carry more passengers. Medics treated Thalaxians suffering from radiation exposure. Every human pushed beyond exhaustion, knowing what was at stake. When Tolzar returned to his ship, he sent one final warning. "You have 6 hours to cease operations or face consequences." Admiral Nkosi's response was transmitted across all frequencies. "We will not abandon these people to die. If that means standing against the entire consortium, so be it." The standoff reached critical mass as Thalaxi Prime began to tear itself apart. Massive fissures opened across the northern continent, venting superheated gases from the planet's core. The crystal forests, once the planet's crowning glory, shattered like glass bombs, sending deadly shards flying for kilometers. In orbit, 5 more consortium vessels had arrived, surrounding the human evacuation fleet. Their weapons remained powered, a constant threat hanging over the rescue operation. 2 million Thalaxians still planet-side, Lieutenant Blackwood reported on the bridge of the Mercy. "At current evacuation rates, we need another 36 hours. "The planet doesn't have 36 hours, Oren replied grimly, watching as another continental shelf collapsed into magma. "And neither do we, with those consortium guns pointed at us." On the surface, Isidro coordinated from a field command center that shook with each new tremor. The air had become almost unbreathable, even for humans in protective gear. For the Thalaxians, it was slowly killing them. "Major, we've lost contact with Outpost Echo," a communications specialist reported. "The entire region just disappeared from sensors." Isidro slammed his fist against the tactical display. "Redirect shuttles to Quadrant 7. Maximum capacity runs only." Ikora entered the command center, her crystalline form now visibly cracked from the stress and radiation. "Major Vega, the consortium has contacted our remaining council members. Directly. They are offering sanctuary, but only for 500 of our scientists and cultural leaders. A museum sample," Isidro spat, "just enough to say they preserved your species while letting the rest die." "Some of my people wish to accept," Ikora admitted, harmonics of shame resonating through her voice. "They fear your conflict with the consortium will doom us all." Isidro looked out at the chaos beyond the command center's force field. Hundreds of Thalaxians still waiting for transport, watching their world die around them. "We promise to save your people, Ikora. All of them. That hasn't changed." In orbit, Admiral Nkosi faced her own crisis. The consortium flagship had moved to blocking position, preventing further shuttles from reaching the largest carrier. "Final warning, human vessels," came the transmission. "Power down engines and prepare for inspection or we will fire." Nkosi stood from her command chair. "Lieutenant, open a channel to Earth Command." "Ma'am, communications are being jammed." "Then, open a channel to all human vessels in this system." When the channel confirmed active, she spoke with unwavering resolve. "This is Admiral Nkosi. Implement contingency theta, effective immediately." Throughout the fleet, hidden compartments opened. Systems previously dormant came online. The human vessels, seemingly outclassed by consortium technology, suddenly bristled with weapons and defenses that had been carefully concealed. "What is this?" demanded the consortium commander as his sensors detected the change. This, Admiral, Nkosi replied calmly, is humanity showing its teeth. The human fleet's transformation stunned the consortium forces. What had appeared to be unarmed evacuation vessels now revealed military-grade shield generators and weapon systems unlike anything in the consortium's database. "I don't want conflict," Admiral Nkosi transmitted, "but we will complete this evacuation. You can assist or you can withdraw. Those are your options." In the tense silence that followed, a new voice entered the communications. "This is Overseer Pelomix of the Erathi Federation. We request permission to approach." A massive vessel, nearly twice the size of the largest human carrier, decloaked between the opposing fleets. Its organic design marked it as one of the eldest races in the consortium. "Permission granted," Nkosi responded cautiously. The Overseer's hologram appeared on the Mercy's bridge, a being of flowing, liquid-like composition contained within an environmental suit. "We have been observing. Your dedication to preserving the Thalaxians is unexpected. With respect, Overseer, we don't have time for philosophical discussions," Orin interjected. "That planet is breaking apart with 2 million civilians still. On the surface." "Precisely why I have come," Pelomix replied. "The Erathi Federation formally requests to join the human rescue operation." The announcement sent shockwaves through both fleets. The Erathi were founding members of the consortium, their word carrying immense weight. "You would break consortium protocol?" demanded Tolzar. "I would honor a higher protocol," Pelomix answered. "One that values life above bureaucracy. The humans have reminded us of principles we once cherished." On the surface, the situation had deteriorated catastrophically. The northern continent was now experiencing total structural collapse. Isidro's team worked frantically to load Thalaxians onto any available transport. "Major, we've got incoming," shouted a sensor operator. "Multiple vessels entering atmosphere." Isidro braced for attack, but instead watched in amazement as Erathi shuttles, far larger and more advanced than human craft, descended through the turbulent skies. Their hulls opened to reveal massive containment chambers perfectly calibrated for Thalaxian physiology. "This is Erathi Rescue Prime," came the transmission. "We are here to assist. Please coordinate loading patterns." With the combined might of human determination and Erathi technology, the evacuation accelerated dramatically. Thalaxians were moved in groups of thousands rather than hundreds. Ikora watched in wonder as more vessels arrived, not just Erathi now, but ships from other consortium species, each having made the individual choice to defy protocol and assist. "I don't understand," she said to Isidro. "What changed their minds?" Isidro smiled tiredly through his protective mask. "Sometimes people just need to see someone else doing the right thing first." As they worked, a massive section of crust suddenly gave way beneath one loading zone. Without hesitation, Isidro leapt toward a group of Thalaxian children about to be swallowed by the chasm. He activated his emergency grav pack, scooping 3 into his arms while using his momentum to push the others toward safety. The edge crumbled beneath him. As he fell, still clutching the children, an Erathi tentacle shot out, wrapping around his waist and yanking him to solid ground. Human and Erathi rescuer exchanged a look of perfect understanding across species boundaries. 3 days after the last shuttle departed Thalaxi Prime, the planet's core collapsed entirely. The world that had nurtured crystalline intelligence for millions of years imploded, leaving nothing but an expanding cloud of glittering debris orbiting the angry red giant. Aboard the combined fleet, now consisting of vessels from 17 different species, 8 million Thalaxians watched the final moments of their homeworld on viewing screens. There was no sound, but their harmonic mourning resonated throughout every ship, a crystalline requiem that brought tears to human eyes. Admiral Nkosi stood with Overseer Pelemix and Ikora on the observation deck of the Mercy. "Where will my people go now?" Ikora asked, her form strengthened after proper medical care, but still bearing the fractures of their ordeal. "Earth has prepared temporary habitats on our third lunar colony," Nkosi explained. "But that's just until we can find or create a permanent home suited to your physiology. The Erathi Federation offers the crystal moon of Ventus in our home system," Pelemix added. "Its composition is remarkably similar to Thalaxi Prime, as it once was." "And the consortium?" Ikora inquired cautiously. Nkosi's expression hardened slightly. "An emergency council has been convened. The non-interference directive is being re-evaluated. Your people's testimony will be central to that process." In the weeks that followed, the Thalaxians were settled in their temporary homes. Human and Erathi scientists worked together to preserve their cultural heritage and ensure their biological needs were met. News of the rescue spread throughout the galaxy, prompting intense debate within the consortium. 6 months after the evacuation, a formal ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from 32 species, including many who had initially refused assistance, gathered to witness the signing of the Thalaxi Accords, a new interstellar agreement that established the right of all sentient species to receive aid when facing extinction-level events. Isidro, now promoted to colonel, stood with Ikora as she addressed the assembly. "My people once believed we were alone in our suffering," she resonated, her voice perfectly translated for all present. "The stars were cold, and those who dwelled among them colder still. But then came humans, a species younger than almost any represented here today, who taught the galaxy what it means to extend a hand to strangers." The crystal she placed in the center of the chamber began to glow, projecting holographic images of the rescue, humans and Thalaxians working side by side, joined later by Erathi and others. "This crystal contains our complete historical and cultural record," she continued. "But more importantly, it contains the names of every being who participated in our rescue. Our children will sing these names for generations to come." In the front row, Admiral Nkosi nodded respectfully as Tolzar of the Zernian hierarchy approached the podium next. "The consortium acknowledges its failure," he stated formally. "We allowed procedure to supersede compassion. In doing so, we betrayed our founding principles. Today, we express gratitude to humanity for showing us a better path." Later that evening, after the formal proceedings had concluded, Isidro found Ikora gazing up at Earth's moon from the observation garden. "Your people will thrive on Ventus," he assured her. "I've seen the preliminary surveys. The crystal formations there are even more extensive than on your home world." "It is not the crystal formations that will ensure our survival, Colonel Vega," Ikora responded, her harmonics warm with affection. "It is the knowledge that we are not alone, that when the universe turns cold, there are those who will stand against that coldness." She extended a crystalline appendage, which chimed softly as it touched Isidro's outstretched hand. "The galaxy ignored our cries," she said, "but humanity didn't. That lesson will echo through the cosmos long after all of us have returned to stardust." Isidro smiled. "That's just what humans do." "No," Ikora corrected gently. "That is what we all should do. And thanks to you, that is what we all will do, from this day forward." As they stood together, a message arrived from deep space monitoring. Stations, another distress call from another dying world in a distant sector. Without hesitation, vessels from Earth, Erathi, and a dozen other worlds began preparations to respond. The galaxy was learning what humanity had always known, that the measure of civilization is not in technological advancement or longevity, but in the willingness to extend compassion beyond borders, beyond differences, beyond the cold equations of survival. And in that lesson lay the most powerful legacy of all.